Imagine this moment. You are standing at the edge of a world that feels both familiar and eerily distant. The ground beneath your feet is solid, but every step echoes into a vast emptiness that seems to swallow sound and hope alike. Shadows gather around you, not with the gentle hush of twilight, but with the heavy, pressing weight of something unseen, something ancient and cold. There is a hush in the air, a pause so complete that even your heartbeat sounds like the footsteps of a stranger approaching from behind. Every small movement, every breath, brings with it a ripple of uncertainty. You sense the world closing in, as if the very air is thick with a silent question: will you be enough? Can you stand when the darkness presses closer and the voices of fear rise to a fever pitch? In this place, fear is not a distant idea, it is a living presence. It sits quietly at your shoulder, whispering doubts in the pauses between your thoughts. The world feels narrowed to a corridor of shadows, where every unseen corner holds the chance of threat or betrayal. You remember moments when the light was easy, when laughter danced softly in the air and hope was as simple as waking to a bright morning. But today, the colors are muted, the horizon blurred. There is a weight in your chest, a trembling in your hands that betrays the storm inside. Perhaps you have known betrayal, or the sting of words unspoken. Perhaps you carry the memory of doors closed in your face, of trust lost, of loneliness like a chill that seeps into your bones on the longest nights. Yet even as the world narrows and the shadows press closer, you sense that this moment is not the end of the story. There is a tension in the air, the subtle hum of something waiting to unfold. You are not here by accident. The very ache of your heart, the quiet ache that lingers when all else is silent, is a signpost, a marker that your journey has brought you to a threshold. Somewhere beyond the veil of fear, a presence stirs. It is not loud or brash, it does not announce itself with thunder or flame. It arrives like the first breath of dawn after a sleepless night, a gentle, golden light that slants softly through the trees, touching everything with a promise you can almost feel but cannot yet name. If these words sustained you in silence, write grace in the comments. You are not being asked to deny the fear, nor to pretend that the world is not full of dark places. Instead, you are being invited to stand in the very center of your uncertainty, to look into the shadows without flinching. There is power in the pause, in the quiet before the music swells, in the moment when it seems that all is lost. It is here, in this raw, trembling space, that a different kind of story begins. Not a tale of instant rescue or easy answers, but a slow, luminous unfolding, a journey into the heart of what it means to be protected, even when the world feels perilous and your own strength seems small. This is not simply a retelling of ancient words. It is an invitation to step inside them, to let them breathe and move through you, to allow old promises to find new life in your own story. As trembling hands reach for courage, as forests part to reveal the first blush of dawn, as storm clouds gather and then dissolve above a face turned hopefully toward the light, you will be drawn into an experience that is both intimate and universal. The shadows are real, and so is the light that finds you there. The footsteps behind you may echo with threat, but they are also the drumbeat of a larger presence, a shield stronger than any enemy, a comfort deeper than words. So, as you stand on the threshold of this journey, let yourself notice the details, the way your breath catches when you listen, the chill at your neck when you sense you are not alone, the way hope flickers like a candle in the storm. Let yourself be present to the rawness, the longing, the unspoken prayers that rise within you. There is a story waiting to unfold, one woven from fear and courage, from darkness and dawn, from ancient faith and the unbreakable promise of protection. The path ahead will not erase the shadows, but it will reveal the light that breaks through, stronger and more beautiful than you have dared to imagine. In the quiet moments when the world feels vast and your worries seem to echo louder than your hopes, there exists an unseen current, a subtle force that moves just beneath the surface of your awareness. This gentle presence does not demand your attention with thunder or spectacle, rather, it weaves itself through the fabric of your day, sometimes as the hush that settles your spirit, or the inexplicable calm that finds you when uncertainty swells. While you may not always recognize its touch, it is there, a steadying influence that tempers turmoil and guides you with a wisdom that does not always reveal its source. When you pause and listen between the heartbeats of your routine, you might catch a fleeting sense of comfort, as if an invisible hand is resting lightly on your shoulder, reminding you that you are not navigating these paths alone. Moving forward, it becomes essential to acknowledge the unique place you hold in the unfolding tapestry of existence. You are not an afterthought, nor a shadow slipping unnoticed through the chapters of life. Instead, you are witnessed, cherished, and regarded with a depth of attention that surpasses even your own self-awareness. Imagine walking through a busy city, where every passerby moves quickly, eyes fixed ahead, stories hidden behind hurried glances. Now, imagine that, among the multitudes, someone truly sees you, not just your face, but the landscape of your heart, the dreams you cradle, and the burdens you carry. This is the gaze of the celestial, a loving recognition that pierces through the noise and distraction, focusing solely on you. It is a gaze that neither judges nor expects but simply acknowledges your presence as sacred and irreplaceable. If this message reminded you of divine faithfulness, write loyalty gently below. Furthermore, there is a sacred assurance woven through these moments of being seen. When challenges arise and doubts threaten to unravel your resolve, you are held in a space of unwavering support. Picture a garden after a heavy rain. The soil, though battered by storms, is enriched, ready to nurture new growth. In the same way, your spirit, having weathered trials, is prepared for renewal, sustained by a strength that does not falter. You might not always perceive this resilience within yourself, yet it is cultivated by the hands of those who watch over you. During times when you feel fragile, when the world's demands seem relentless, this hidden strength rises gently within, offering quiet encouragement and subtle fortitude. At times, the sensation of being supported is as simple as an unexpected moment of peace, a deep breath that clears the fog of anxiety, or a sudden insight that shifts your perspective. Other times, it appears as a person who arrives at just the right moment with a kind word, or a circumstance that turns in your favor when you least expect it. These are not random coincidences, but threads of intentional care, woven by a presence that delights in orchestrating hope from the ordinary. Now, consider the occasions when you have reached out in desperation, your heart barely able to form the words of a prayer. Even then, you were answered, not always in the way you envisioned, but in the way that would ultimately bring the greatest growth and comfort. Another crucial layer to this divine support is the promise that you are never truly alone, even when solitude feels all-encompassing. The illusion of isolation can be powerful, especially in moments of grief or disappointment. Yet, just as the moon remains present behind a veil of clouds, there is an abiding presence by your side, quiet, constant, and attentive. This companionship does not always speak in grand gestures. Sometimes it is the reassurance in your own heartbeat, the steady rhythm that tells you life continues, hope persists, and you are held in a love that will not let go. Consequently, when life's uncertainties seem to multiply and your path grows dim, remember that unseen guardians surround you. Their presence is not contingent upon your belief or awareness. It is an enduring reality that undergirds your every step. They celebrate your victories, grieve your losses with you, and gently reposition your gaze toward the possibilities that still await. By choosing to open your heart, even in the smallest ways, you invite these guardians to draw closer, to whisper encouragement, and to fill your journey with signs of their steadfast care. In this way, you become not just a traveler through life's challenges, but a beloved companion to the divine, cherished, supported, and never truly alone. When the world seems to pulse with tension and your senses become finely attuned to every whisper of uncertainty, there emerges a wisdom that calls from a place deeper than thought. It is as if your soul, weary from navigating shifting landscapes, suddenly feels the brush of a gentle wind carrying a truth that transcends circumstance. Rather than answering with explanations or justifications, this wisdom arrives clothed in metaphor, an unbroken circle of light, a river carving its patient path through stone, a tree whose roots reach deeper even as storms rage above. In moments of stillness, you sense that there is meaning woven into your trials, not as punishment, but as quiet invitations to awaken to what endures beyond the surface of events. Drawing closer, it becomes apparent that life is not solely a contest between shadow and brightness, but a continual dance in which both move in and out of focus. There are times when you walk through a forest at dusk, the path barely visible, yet each step brings the soft glow of fireflies to guide you forward. In such moments, the angels wish to remind you that clarity is not the absence of mystery, but the ability to rest within it, to trust that each question, each uncertainty, is itself a doorway to revelation. The heart's trembling does not signify weakness but readiness, a sign that you are tuned to subtleties others might miss. As you journey through chapters of challenge, the language of spirit reveals itself through symbols and signs. Perhaps you find yourself drawn to a certain melody, a scent that stirs forgotten memories, or a single feather resting on your windowsill. These are not random occurrences, rather, they are messages coded in the language of the soul, reminders that the divine is always communicating, always reaching out with gentle reassurances. Think of the way a sunrise follows the longest night, painting the sky in colors you could not have imagined. In the same way, guidance often appears just as the darkness feels most complete, illuminating a step, not the entire path, but enough to keep moving forward. Moreover, the angels wish to sow within you the understanding that your vulnerability is not a flaw to be hidden, but a bridge to deeper connection. When you allow yourself to feel fully, without judgment or resistance, you become receptive to insights that cannot be accessed through intellect alone. Imagine the quiet moment before rain begins, the air charged with anticipation, every leaf quivering in expectation. In this space, wisdom settles softly, inviting you to listen not just with your ears, but with your whole being. Suddenly, you notice patterns where there once was only chaos, purpose where before there seemed only struggle. In addition, the spiritual realm speaks not only through the extraordinary, but through the everyday. The laughter of a child, the resilience of wildflowers breaking through concrete, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, each contains within it a hidden message, a gentle nudge to remember the presence of grace in all things. When you attune yourself to these subtle cues, you begin to realize that protection and guidance are not reserved for rare, miraculous moments, but are woven into the fabric of daily living. The ordinary becomes sacred, the routine imbued with quiet assurance. Finally, the angels encourage you to honor the wisdom that arises from your own experience. Every fear faced, every moment of courage, every act of kindness, these become the building blocks of your own spiritual insight. Your story is not a collection of random events, but a living testament to resilience, transformation, and hope. As you move forward, let the symbols and signs that surround you be both comfort and compass, reminding you that you are part of a greater pattern, one that is unfolding with exquisite care, guided by hands both tender and strong. With each breath, you are invited deeper into the mystery, to trust not only in what is revealed but in the loving presence that enfolds you, even when the way ahead remains hidden. If these words brought clarity within you, write purpose below. As you open yourself to the possibility of guidance, a subtle shift begins to take place within the core of your being. In moments where the world demands answers faster than your heart can provide, quiet wisdom emerges, not in grand pronouncements, but as a gentle invitation to pause. There is power in allowing yourself to slow down, to listen not just for external solutions, but for the delicate nudges that arise from the depths of your intuition. These nudges may manifest as a soft hesitance before making a decision, a persistent sense that a certain path is not yours to walk, or an inexplicable sense of ease that accompanies a bold step forward. Rather than dismissing these sensations as mere afterthoughts, recognize them as the language of guidance, specifically attuned to your unique journey. Shifting focus, notice how the act of surrender is not about giving up control, but about realigning your energy with a current much greater than your own will. When you find yourself wrestling with obstacles that refuse to yield, consider what happens when you release the need to force an outcome. Picture a river, its waters sometimes blocked by fallen branches, yet never ceasing in its journey to the sea. The current simply finds another way, flowing around, beneath, or even through the obstruction. In your own experience, resistance often gives way to flow the moment you allow yourself to trust that not every answer must come from struggle. By relaxing your grip, you create space for opportunities to surface, often ones you could not have imagined while fixated on a single outcome. Furthermore, receptivity becomes a vital practice in these times. To receive does not mean to passively wait, it is an active openness, a readiness to welcome what is being offered without preconceived ideas. Embrace the possibility that what you need may arrive in unexpected forms, a phone call that shifts your perspective, a timely message from a stranger, or a sudden clarity that dawns when you least expect it. By remaining receptive, you allow the universe's intricate choreography to unfold around you, weaving solutions and connections that fit precisely into the tapestry of your needs. There is also a distinct value in allowing your emotions to surface without judgment as you move through this phase of guidance. Each feeling, whether comfort or discomfort, acts as a signpost pointing toward the next step. If anxiety rises when you contemplate a certain direction, listen closely. Sometimes this is a cue to pause, reconsider, or seek additional information. Conversely, a sense of warmth or gentle anticipation can signal alignment, letting you know that you are stepping in tune with a greater wisdom. Honoring your emotional responses, rather than suppressing them, deepens your capacity to discern true guidance from fleeting impulses. In addition, engaging with the present moment anchors you in a state of readiness for divine timing. Instead of projecting your hopes and fears into a distant future, bring your awareness to the immediate now. Notice the sensations in your body, the rhythm of your breath, the subtle cues in your environment. Often, it is within this grounded presence that the next right action becomes unmistakably clear. For instance, you might find yourself drawn to a particular place or person, only to discover later that this gentle prompting led you to an encounter rich with meaning or resolution. Ultimately, as you cultivate openness and trust in the unfolding process, you participate in a dynamic relationship with the unseen forces guiding your path. Each small act of surrender becomes a testament to your willingness to be led, each moment of receptivity a doorway through which grace can enter. Rather than striving to orchestrate every detail, you begin to dance with the rhythm of life itself, confident that you are being gently moved toward fulfillment and peace. Within the sacred chamber of your heart, there dwells a radiant ember, a spark untouched by the world's turbulence, quietly illuminating the depths of your being. This light is not earned nor diminished by circumstance, it is the signature of your soul, woven into the very fabric of your existence. While the clamor of daily life and the weight of external expectations may at times obscure its brilliance, this inner glow can never be extinguished. Instead, it waits patiently, ready to be rekindled whenever you turn your gaze inward with sincerity and openness. Unlike fleeting confidence or surface-level positivity, this illumination is rooted in the undeniable truth of your inherent worth and belonging. In moments when you question your value or sense a disconnect from your purpose, it is essential to remember that your presence is a vital note in the symphony of creation. Just as a single star upholds the integrity of the night sky, your unique essence contributes to the world's unfolding beauty. No collection of setbacks or perceived shortcomings can diminish this truth. Rather, each challenge you encounter becomes a prism, refracting your light in new and unexpected directions. The courage to embrace vulnerability, to acknowledge both your strengths and your wounds, serves as the catalyst that brings this inner radiance forward, transforming even the most fragile parts of your story into sources of power and grace. If this message helped you release burdens, write freedom in the comments. Now, reflect on the times when you have uplifted others without even realizing it, a tender glance offered to someone in distress, a gentle gesture that eased another's grief, a word spoken in kindness that lingered long after you forgot it. These seemingly small acts are in fact expressions of the divine spark within you, evidence that your soul's light is not confined but seeks always to expand and uplift. Each moment of authentic connection becomes a mirror, reflecting your luminous nature back to you and reminding you that you are both a giver and a receiver of grace. As your awareness deepens, you may notice that this inner radiance grows most visible when you honor your truth and act from a place of integrity. When you align your actions with your deepest values, you create an energetic resonance that attracts new opportunities, relationships, and insights. Consider the sensation that arises when you make a decision that resonates with your heart, a quiet assurance, a gentle warmth, a sense of alignment that transcends logic. This is your soul's light affirming your path, guiding you with subtle but unmistakable certainty. There are seasons, however, when shadows seem to gather and doubts multiply. During these times, it is not necessary to force your light to shine brighter. Instead, allow yourself to rest in the assurance that even the smallest ember can kindle a vast flame. Picture a candle in a darkened room. Its glow may be modest, yet it transforms the entire space, revealing details that were once hidden and inviting others to draw near. In much the same way, your willingness to honor your essence, especially in moments of uncertainty, becomes a beacon for both yourself and those around you. By trusting your inherent goodness, you give silent permission for others to do the same, weaving an unspoken network of hope and encouragement. Moreover, as you attune yourself to this inner illumination, you may begin to sense a quiet invitation to expand beyond self-doubt and limitation. The soul's light is not static, it responds to your willingness to dream, to create, to risk vulnerability in the service of growth. Each time you choose to believe in your capacity for love, wisdom, or resilience, you fan the flames of your purpose, setting in motion ripples that extend far beyond your immediate awareness. Imagine the impact of a single act of compassion, a wave that travels outward, touching distant shores, inspiring others to awaken to their own radiance. In this unfolding, it becomes clear that your worthiness is not a question to be answered, but a reality to be lived. The light within you is the legacy of all that you have endured, cherished, and become. By standing in this truth, you grant yourself permission to shine without apology, to embody your purpose with quiet confidence, and to trust that your journey, regardless of its twists and turns, is both meaningful and necessary. Let this recognition settle into your bones. You are not here by chance, but by divine design, and the world is brighter for your presence. Consider, for a moment, the possibility that your capacity for resilience is inextricably tied to the way you respond to the unseen invitations woven throughout your journey. There are times when you encounter crossroads not marked by clear signposts, but rather by a subtle stirring in your spirit, a quiet urging to act, to let go, or to step beyond what feels comfortable. In these instances, guidance emerges not as a single, bold directive, but as a series of gentle inclinations, each one nudging you toward a more expansive version of yourself. If you choose to heed these invitations, you may discover that what once appeared as insurmountable obstacles transform into stepping stones, each one uniquely designed to strengthen your faith in your own ability to navigate the uncertainties ahead. On another level, the way you interpret the events and synchronicities in your life can serve as a compass for your next steps. Imagine noticing recurring patterns, a certain phrase echoing across conversations, a color that keeps drawing your gaze, or a memory that resurfaces at unusual moments. Instead of dismissing these as random, you might begin to wonder if they are threads of a larger tapestry, quietly guiding your attention toward areas of growth or healing. Now, think about the days when you wake with a sense of anticipation, as if something luminous awaits just beyond your current horizon. Trusting this inner anticipation can inspire you to take actions that might otherwise seem unremarkable, yet these very choices often open doors to new opportunities and unexpected forms of support. Additionally, the practice of honoring your instincts in unfamiliar situations can create a profound sense of empowerment. When you feel a sudden pull to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in years, or find yourself lingering in a place that seems oddly significant, these impulses are rarely accidental. They are invitations from the deeper currents of your life, encouraging you to participate in the unfolding of a story much bigger than yourself. Responding to these inner promptings with openness, even when you do not fully understand their purpose, cultivates a partnership with the unknown, one where curiosity, rather than fear, becomes your guide. As you become more attuned to this process, you might notice that your relationship with timing and patience shifts in subtle but meaningful ways. The urge to control outcomes fades, replaced by a growing trust that the right moments will present themselves when you are truly ready. For example, you may have felt the ache of waiting for answers that seemed slow to arrive, only to realize in hindsight that the delay allowed you to acquire wisdom or resources crucial for the next phase. This realization can bring a sense of peace, even amid uncertainty, as each waiting period becomes an opportunity to cultivate deeper listening and self-reflection. In the same vein, challenges that initially appear as setbacks frequently reveal themselves as catalysts for transformation. Think of a time when a closed door forced you to reassess your goals or values, leading you down a path far richer than the one you had envisioned. These moments, while disorienting, are often the birthplace of new strength and clarity. Instead of resisting, you can lean into the discomfort, trusting that the guidance you seek is already at work, gently shaping your experience from within. By embracing this dynamic interplay between inner promptings and outer circumstances, you create space for a more authentic and fulfilling journey. Rather than striving to predict or control every twist and turn, you learn to welcome surprise and change as integral parts of your unfolding story. Each day becomes an invitation to notice, to respond, and to grow, an ongoing conversation between your soul and the world around you, written in the language of subtle signs and sacred timing. Let us delve into the profound realization that your presence alone can serve as a sanctuary, an anchor in the ever-shifting tides of life. Consider for a moment those rare instances when you have entered a room and felt the atmosphere subtly transform, as if the very air responded to your arrival. This is not about charisma or outward confidence, rather, it is about the quiet gravity of someone who carries an inner assurance, the kind that radiates peace without uttering a word. Imagine walking into a bustling cafe where clamor and chaos reign. You take your seat, settle your breathing, and, slowly, the energy around you softens. Others may not consciously register this shift, yet they find themselves relaxing, their voices lowering, their shoulders easing. Your state of being becomes a silent haven, inviting harmony into spaces that might otherwise overflow with tension. Moving beyond the boundaries of physical presence, the resonance of your spirit can extend into the lives of others in subtle, far-reaching ways. Think about the comfort someone might feel simply knowing you exist, that somewhere in the world, there is a soul who embodies steadfastness and hope. This assurance is not dependent on constant contact or grand gestures. Sometimes, a single memory of your kindness, a phrase you once shared, or the echo of your laughter travels silently through another's darkest hours, offering solace when it is most needed. In this way, your very existence becomes a lighthouse, casting beams of reassurance across stormy seas, guiding others back to themselves even when you are not physically near. Building on this, your ability to create sanctuary is not limited by circumstance or environment. Even in the most challenging situations, such as a workplace brimming with competition or a household navigating uncertainty, you can cultivate a sphere of calm within yourself. Picture a garden thriving in the heart of a city, its greenery unfazed by the rush and noise beyond its gates. You, too, can become such a haven. By tending to your inner landscape, through mindful attention, self-compassion, and grounded intention, you establish a refuge that others instinctively seek out. Those around you may find themselves pausing, breathing more deeply, or opening up in ways they had not anticipated, simply because your energy signals safety and acceptance. Now, consider how this applies when you encounter individuals overwhelmed by fear or despair. Instead of attempting to fix or rescue, you might choose to offer your silent, attentive presence. This simple act becomes a balm, allowing their tangled emotions to unravel without judgment. Imagine sitting with a friend beneath a canopy of stars, words unnecessary as the night sky holds both your silences and your secrets. In such moments, you become a vessel for healing, not by solving, but by witnessing, by holding space for another's journey. The ripple effect of this quiet sanctuary can reach into the future, shaping how those you touch respond to challenges, trust others, and ultimately, how they nurture themselves. If this message reminded you that you are not alone, write refuge in the comments with simplicity. Another dimension emerges when you recognize that sanctuary can be offered even to those you do not know personally. Small, intentional acts, leaving a handwritten note of encouragement for a stranger, tending a public garden, or supporting someone's creative effort, extend your protective energy into the broader world. These gestures may appear minor, yet they plant seeds of hope and belonging in places you may never visit. Over time, the cumulative impact of such offerings creates a web of unseen comfort, a collective sanctuary that uplifts and reassures countless souls. Ultimately, your capacity to serve as a sanctuary is not a fixed trait, but a living, evolving expression of your soul's compassion. Each time you choose patience over frustration, understanding over judgment, or presence over distraction, you reinforce this sacred role. The more you nurture this quality within yourself, the more naturally it flows outward, touching the fabric of every interaction and environment you encounter. In this way, you become both shelter and light, a living testament to the quiet power of unwavering presence. Stepping into the heart of your own spiritual journey, you may discover that faith's most profound expressions often reveal themselves in the subtle interplay between uncertainty and conviction. There are moments when belief feels less like a fortress and more like a delicate bridge suspended over a chasm of unknowns. In these instances, trusting can feel almost audacious, like reaching out a hand in a room shrouded in darkness, not knowing if you will find another hand waiting, or simply more emptiness. Yet, it is precisely in these fragile crossings where the transformative nature of faith becomes evident, teaching you that hope is not the absence of struggle, but the persistent decision to move forward despite it. At times, the landscape of your life may resemble a field after a heavy frost, silent, bare, and seemingly devoid of promise. However, beneath the surface, unseen currents of renewal stir. Much as a seed waits patiently beneath hard earth, your faith gathers strength in stillness, preparing to break forth when the moment is ripe. There may be days when you feel your spirit grow weary, when prayers feel unanswered and progress invisible. Yet, the quiet persistence of your hope acts like rain on parched soil, coaxing forth new growth in ways you cannot yet perceive. Expanding on this, consider the paradoxical power found within surrender. Letting go is not a sign of defeat, but an act of profound courage, a willingness to allow a greater wisdom to guide your steps. Rather than clinging to rigid expectations, you choose to trust that even the detours and delays serve a purpose beyond your immediate understanding. Picture a traveler navigating dense fog. Each step is taken on faith, guided not by clear sight, but by an inner compass that refuses to let fear dictate direction. The willingness to move forward, even with trembling hands, is itself a quiet triumph, a living testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Moreover, the act of embracing vulnerability in your journey allows you to witness the emergence of unexpected alliances and resources. Sometimes, support arrives in forms you never anticipated, a stranger's encouragement at just the right moment, a coincidence that seems orchestrated by unseen hands, or a sudden insight that reframes your entire perspective. These gentle interventions serve as reminders that you are not navigating the shadows alone. Rather, There is a responsive energy in the universe that meets your courage with grace, illuminating the next small step when the whole path remains hidden. Shifting focus, the rhythm of faith is often marked by cycles of contraction and expansion. There are times when you must draw inward, gathering strength in solitude, and other seasons when you are called to step out boldly, even if your voice shakes. Each phase serves a distinct purpose, forging qualities of patience, adaptability, and quiet determination. When you notice yourself hesitating at the threshold of new opportunities, recall that growth rarely feels comfortable. Like a bird poised at the edge of its nest, the leap into the unknown may seem daunting, yet flight is impossible without it. In practical terms, faith also manifests in the willingness to act with integrity before results can be seen or guaranteed. You may find yourself extending kindness with no assurance of reciprocity, investing time in a dream that others dismiss, or standing up for what is right when silence would be easier. These acts, though sometimes overlooked by the world, are powerful declarations of trust in the unseen architecture of goodness. Each choice to move forward, despite doubts or setbacks, adds another thread to the tapestry of hope, weaving resilience into the fabric of your life. In drawing these threads together, remember that faith is not a static possession, but a living, breathing companion, a force that evolves with you, shaped by every challenge you face and every act of courage you undertake. By daring to believe, even when evidence is scarce, you participate in the ongoing creation of a reality shaped by trust, perseverance, and the unshakable comfort of hope. When you find yourself standing on the edge of uncertainty, there is another dimension to protection that often goes unnoticed: the way it subtly transforms your perception of adversity. Instead of viewing threats as monolithic or insurmountable, you begin to recognize the nuanced interplay between challenge and opportunity. Protection, in this sense, does not always manifest as a barrier that keeps all harm at bay. Rather, it can serve as a lens, one that sharpens your discernment and illuminates the pathways hidden within tangled thickets of circumstance. With heightened awareness, you start to detect the faint glimmers of possibility that emerge even in the presence of difficulty, much like the outline of a hidden trail revealed when dawn's first light filters through dense foliage. This refined awareness becomes especially apparent in moments when an instinctive response, such as the urge to withdraw or brace against perceived attack, gives way to a subtler, more deliberate engagement with your environment. For instance, imagine you are navigating a crowded intersection at dusk. The world around you is awash in shadows and noise, yet something deep within prompts you to pause, to listen more intently, to notice the rhythm of movement rather than rushing forward impulsively. In that split second, you may notice a car speeding through a red light or a cyclist weaving unexpectedly through traffic. Here, the shield of protection is not a physical barrier, but a sharpening of your intuitive faculties, allowing you to adjust, to pivot, to sidestep danger before it materializes. Continuing along this path, consider how protection also evolves into a form of inner resilience that draws upon your unique talents and resources. The experience of being shielded does not foster complacency or dependence. Instead, it calls forth latent strengths and awakens dormant abilities. For example, you might find yourself facing a daunting task at work, one that initially feels beyond your capability. Rather than succumbing to intimidation, you notice a quiet confidence rising within, urging you to break the challenge into smaller steps, to seek out knowledge, or to collaborate with someone whose perspective complements your own. In this way, protection becomes less about insulation from harm and more about the gentle encouragement that helps you unlock creative solutions and resourcefulness. Moreover, protection can prompt a reevaluation of what you once considered threatening. Sometimes, the very situations that stir apprehension are those that invite you to shift your perspective. Imagine receiving unexpected criticism from someone whose opinion matters to you. While the initial sting might trigger defensive walls, taking a breath and examining the feedback through the lens of growth rather than injury can transform the encounter. You might notice, for example, a kernel of truth that helps you refine your approach, deepen your empathy, or clarify your boundaries. In this context, protection operates as a filter, allowing constructive insights to reach you while deflecting unnecessary negativity or malice. Shifting gears, another facet of protection emerges in the form of synchronicity and timing. There are moments when events align in such a precise sequence that you are spared from unseen harm or steered toward unexpected opportunity. Perhaps you decide to take a different route home, only to learn later that your usual path was blocked by an accident. Or maybe a sudden delay causes you to cross paths with someone who offers guidance just when you needed it most. These seemingly random occurrences are often the subtle choreography of a protective presence operating behind the scenes, weaving together circumstances that support your well-being in ways you could never have orchestrated on your own. Finally, as you continue on this journey, notice how protection can foster a sense of quiet assurance that extends beyond the immediate moment. Instead of scanning constantly for danger or bracing for the worst, you begin to move through life with a steadier rhythm, a willingness to trust your own judgment, to respond rather than react, to rest in the knowledge that you are equipped to face whatever arises. This assurance does not guarantee a life free from hardship, but it does grant you the poise to meet each day with open eyes and an unguarded heart, ready to discern the subtle contours of grace wherever they appear. Arising from the depths of your experience, your inner light is not only a beacon but also a source of revelation, a wellspring that continually unfolds fresh insight as you journey onward. Picture the subtle transformation that occurs when you begin to treat adversity as a sculptor treats raw stone. Each rough edge, every unexpected contour, becomes an opportunity for artistry and self-discovery. Rather than simply enduring, you begin to participate in the shaping of your own soul, recognizing that the act of creating meaning in the face of challenge is itself a testament to your luminous spirit. Through this process, your perspective widens, allowing you to notice beauty concealed within what once seemed only burdensome. Delving further, the activation of your inner light opens the door to a heightened sense of purpose that radiates far beyond personal fulfillment. Imagine standing at the crossroads of decision, the landscape before you alive with possibilities only visible to those willing to look with both courage and curiosity. In these moments, your intuition blossoms into a guide, offering subtle cues that point toward the paths where your gifts can touch the world most deeply. This is not about grand gestures or public recognition. Even the smallest act of genuine kindness can ripple outward in ways you may never witness directly. A simple word of encouragement, an understanding glance, or a quiet stand for integrity can ignite hope in others, multiplying the light you carry and creating connections that transcend the boundaries of time and circumstance. Exploring another facet, your soul's illumination empowers you to embrace paradox with grace. Where others may see contradiction or confusion, you discover the capacity to hold seemingly opposing truths side by side. For example, you learn to honor both your longing for growth and the necessity of rest, recognizing that true vitality emerges from honoring the cycles of expansion and retreat. Similarly, you may feel the ache of longing for something not yet attained, while simultaneously celebrating the abundance that already fills your life. This ability to dwell in the fertile tension between desire and gratitude becomes a powerful catalyst, enriching your journey with depth and nuance. In addition, the presence of your inner light equips you to move through spaces where others might shrink away. Consider the scenario of entering a room charged with conflict or misunderstanding. Instead of absorbing the prevailing tension, you become an agent of transformation, quietly anchoring peace through the clarity of your intentions and the steadiness of your presence. Your words, chosen with care, can diffuse hostility. Your willingness to listen can draw out hidden truths, creating a space where healing becomes possible. Over time, you recognize that your mere willingness to confront discomfort with openness and compassion is enough to shift the dynamic, allowing reconciliation and renewal to take root. As your journey progresses, you may find yourself called to nurture this light through practices that honor your uniqueness. This might look like dedicating time to creative pursuits that make your spirit sing, or seeking out moments of solitude in nature where you can attune to the rhythms of the earth. These rituals, tailored to your individual temperament, act as fuel for your luminous core, ensuring that your radiance is not depleted by the demands of daily life. By honoring these practices, you become increasingly adept at discerning which environments, relationships, and activities support your highest expression, and which may require gentle boundaries to maintain your vitality. Finally, this ever-expanding light encourages you to recognize the sacredness of your own becoming. Rather than striving for an elusive state of perfection, you begin to celebrate the miracle of change itself, the way your understanding deepens with every lesson, the quiet evolution of your values, and the unfolding of your authentic voice. Even apparent missteps or detours are woven into the tapestry of your growth, each one contributing its unique color and texture. In this realization, you find freedom, the assurance that your worth is not measured by external standards, but by the courage and honesty with which you walk your path, illuminating the world in your own unmistakable way. Reflecting on this journey so far, you may sense a gentle weaving, a quiet artistry at work beneath the surface of your awareness, drawing disparate threads into a single, living tapestry. In this space, the boundaries between what once appeared as separate trials, insights, and glimpses of hope begin to blur, revealing an underlying unity that pulses with quiet assurance. It is as if you have been walking through a forest at dusk, each step revealing only what is immediately before you, but now, as your eyes adjust to the subtle gradations of light, a path emerges that feels both familiar and entirely new. There is no singular moment of revelation, but rather a gradual illumination, as though dawn itself is being stitched into the horizon by the unseen hands of grace. Within this unfolding, you may notice how the cadence of your inner life echoes the rhythms found in nature, ebb and flow, contraction and release, shadow and radiance. Just as rivers carve their way through ancient stone, shaping the landscape with every gentle persistence, so too have the currents of your experience sculpted a deeper resilience within. The interplay of uncertainty and trust, vulnerability and courage, has created a reservoir from which you draw strength, often without realizing it. Each encounter, each silent turning, has contributed its note to the symphony, until the melody becomes not merely something you hear, but something you embody. There is a quiet dignity in this accumulation, a knowing that does not clamor for attention, but simply abides, steady and unwavering. As the narrative arc bends closer toward its culmination, you might feel the subtle tension of anticipation, like the hush before a long-awaited sunrise. There is a sense that something essential is gathering, coalescing from the scattered fragments of your journey. It is not a matter of assembling pieces into a tidy whole, but rather of recognizing the alchemy that has been at work all along, the way disparate elements combine to form a mosaic whose beauty lies precisely in its complexity. In the space between where you began and where you now stand, a new awareness flickers, that the journey itself has been quietly shaping you, sanding rough edges, refining your sense of what it means to be both protected and free. The convergence of these experiences is less a destination and more a threshold. Standing here, you may notice that the air is charged with possibility, the sense that something just beyond your field of vision is preparing to reveal itself. The uncertainty that once felt daunting now carries a subtle invitation, as if the unknown has transformed from adversary to ally. There is a newfound willingness to trust the unfolding, to recognize that the same presence that has walked beside you in times of shadow continues to guide you toward the light. The cumulative effect is not a static state of arrival, but a dynamic readiness, a poised openness to whatever comes next. In light of these insights, the landscape ahead shimmers with promise. It is as if the ground beneath your feet has become both more solid and more expansive, supporting your every step while inviting you to dream beyond what seemed possible. The journey has not erased the shadows, nor has it demanded the abandonment of uncertainty. Instead, it has transformed the very way you inhabit your own story, infusing each moment with a quiet kind of expectancy. As we pivot toward the final reflection, allow yourself to linger in this liminal space, a place where everything you have gathered, learned, and cherished converges, ready to be transformed yet again. The horizon stretches before you, luminous and inviting, echoing the silent promise that every ending is also a beginning waiting to unfold. As you stand in the gentle hush that follows every profound journey, take a moment to feel the soft glow that now lingers within you. The hush is not emptiness, nor is it a void waiting to be filled. It is the living silence that arises when the soul has witnessed something true, something that will not be lost to the noise of the world. In this space, you do not need to grasp or strive for reassurance. You can simply notice the shift, the almost imperceptible way your breath moves more freely, the sense that you are anchored not by circumstance, but by an inner presence that has been with you all along. The shadows you once feared are no longer boundaries, they have become the contrast that reveals the fullness of your light. And the footsteps that echoed behind you now sound less like threats and more like the cadence of a deeper rhythm, one that has been guiding you, even in silence. This is the quiet power of a soul that has tasted both uncertainty and assurance, and discovered that true protection is not a fortress of stone, but a living, breathing presence, one that walks with you, shelters you, and grows stronger with every act of trust. The shield that cannot be shattered is not a wall that separates you from the world, but the unbreakable connection between your deepest self and the source of all comfort. It is the grace that finds you in the middle of the storm, the gentle light that breaks through when fear would have you believe you are alone. With every dawn that follows a night of doubt, you are reminded, resilience is not found in the absence of struggle, but in the willingness to let hope take up residence within your heart. In holding this hope, you embody a quiet courage, the kind that turns trembling hands into instruments of kindness, and weary hearts into beacons for others still searching for the way. Let this realization settle into the marrow of your being. You are not a solitary wanderer lost in the dark, but a bearer of a light that grows brighter each time you choose faith over fear, compassion over cynicism, and openness over retreat. The world will always hold its share of shadows, but you are no longer defined or diminished by them. Instead, You move through them with the quiet assurance that protection is not always loud or visible, but is often felt most keenly in the gentle, persistent ways you are held, by unseen hands, by moments of inexplicable peace, by the unyielding thread of guidance that runs through every chapter of your life. As you step forward from this sacred encounter, carry with you the awareness that the journey is not measured by the absence of adversity, but by the depth of your willingness to meet each new day with trust that you are guided, shielded, and deeply cherished. The true practice begins now, not in the grand moments, but in the small, ordinary choices that shape who you are becoming. Offer your presence as a sanctuary, let your kindness ripple outward, and allow your hope to be the quiet sunbeam that cuts through someone else's storm. For in this, you become both the protected and the protector, the seeker and the source of light. And as you move on, may you always remember, within you, the dawn is already breaking, and the promise of unwavering comfort is yours to claim, again and again, with every step you take. If you wish to continue receiving messages like this, you may subscribe to the channel and remain with us.